Welcome back to Leaders Live. It's 2021. It's a new year, a lot new exciting opportunities coming up. So excited to be back. If you haven't seen the show, we interview CEOs, founders, venture capital partners, understand how they operate and connect them with like-minded entrepreneurs and people within the network. So we're going to do a little Q&A with our guests. But before we talk with Anil, Lulla, co-founder and COO of Delphi Digital, we're going to bring in Mike, who is our partner sponsor, Mike Mara, CEO of Entre Network. Mike, welcome back to Leaders Live, man. Happy to see you.
I'm excited. First one of 2021, kicking it off right. And yeah, I'm excited for this interview for sure. And yeah, I'm excited for the ones that we have coming up too, which will be fun. And there's a lot of stuff going on Entre. And if anyone wants to, check out any of the other stuff that we have on the app, there's plenty of entrepreneurs all over the place connecting on there. We have a lot of exciting updates coming soon. We have version 2.0 rolling out very shortly with some rooms, events, some networking features that we're really excited about. So it'll be fun. Anyone can sign up, join for free at joinentre.com. And feel free to reach out to me too if there's anything that I can do to help as well. But Charlie, thanks so much. And yeah, I'm excited for this interview too.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Yeah, check out the Entre app, joinentre.com. Go to the App Store. Nice community of entrepreneurs. And when we get back to, in-person events, there's nothing better than going to Microsoft and seeing Mike and some other founders kind of wheel and deal out there. But let's bring in our guest today, Anil, Lulla, CEO, co-founder, Delphi Digital. Welcome to Leaders Live, my friend.
How are you, Charlie? How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about today, and cryptocurrency is up top, and it is obviously a hot market. So I'm hoping you give us some tips here too. Maybe some Bitcoin. I don't know what we could talk about, but the business is booming. You're doing great. Independent research firm giving analysis on digital asset market, which is cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, all this other good stuff, and you're really making it something special. So I'm excited to talk about that and a lot of other things. But before we get there, can you give us a little context of your background? You were a typical finance guy, it seemed like, and then it obviously evolved into this. So give us that context, bring us back to how this started.
Yeah, absolutely. And, thanks for having me. So, basically went to Rutgers, majored in finance and entrepreneurship. After Rutgers, went to Bloomberg for a couple of years where I was doing corporate bond analysis and, working on the research team for a little bit. And after that, a few years there, left to go to Deutsche Bank, where I was doing more so leverage finance work. What that really means is like, helping, companies in tough spots kind of raise debt and kind of restructure themselves. So, worked on like the Toys R Us deals and like a lot of different bankruptcies. Also, after covering retail for, long time, moved to covering more so TMT, which is like, telecommunications and tech. And then after 2-3 years there, left to start Delphi Digital, the research and consulting firm in digital assets.
I'm going to jump and assume that you were trading some cryptocurrency while working for these firms. But like, where did you see the opportunity to create this research analysis consulting firm? Like, where was the need, and then how did you make that jump? And keep in mind, a lot of the people that kind of watch this show are part of the Entre Network. They're entrepreneurs, they're co-founders. They're trying to build their business too, or even start their business. So curious of when you thought about making that jump, how did you actually make and execute to start the business?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, we basically, my partners and I, we fell down the crypto rabbit hole pretty early in 2017. And almost immediately we could see that there was a lot of, potential in this space, but there was just, just not a lot of information out there. And, a lot of people were kind of blindly, placing bets and just kind of, getting into coins that would go up, 100, 200x off like no news or anything like that. We really wanted to take a step back and do like fundamental research, because back in 2017, I don't know if you remember the market was really heating up. Bitcoin was running towards 20K, and a lot of people in crypto were basically saying, now that the institutions are going to come, institutional investors are going to come and buy it. My partners and I, we coming all from traditional finance, we knew that these investors wouldn't, come to the space and actually buy something they didn't understand. So we thought the biggest need in the space was that, there needed to be a firm in the space that actually, bridged the gap between traditional finance and, crypto. So, we saw a need in the market, and, given our backgrounds, all my partners and I, we come from, different types of research at Bloomberg, Oppenheimer, Deutsche Bank. And, we've been friends and been working together for, quite some time. So we all left our jobs, started the firm, and the rest is history.
Absolutely. The rest has been history up and down through the crypto market. So I'm sure you've seen a lot, which is super exciting. And I think I got into the crypto market probably 2016, throw 20 bucks in, see it go up, make a couple $100, and it's like, this is amazing. And then also, like, to your point, it's like, I don't know what I'm investing in. Crypto Kitty sounds cool, nice brand, but is that really the way to go? It was a weird time, definitely, for sure. But talk about the platform that you've created, this institutional feel of research and consulting. What do your users or new users expect out of this this business and logging on and using your service?
Yeah, absolutely. So we basically have, a couple different plans, but two main plans, right? So one is called Insights, which is about $50 a month. And essentially it's for anyone who's dipping their toes into crypto, trying to, understand, just trying to like come in and understand, what exactly is going on here. On the other side, we have a plan called Institutional, which is $500 a month. And that's more so for the funds, kind of high net worth individuals investing in the space who, spend their day to day actually thinking about this as a class and actually, want to monitor these day-to-day movements. So, on the Insights side, we have, this popular report called Thematic Insights, which, every month we drop a couple different one of these. And basically what it does is it looks at a sector in crypto, right? Say something like gaming or something like decentralized finance. And it boils down why that sector could, be improved with the technology being built in cryptocurrencies. And it also boils down and starts looking at kind of the competitive landscape and all the protocols and projects and teams building in that space at that current time. So this is like, I think those are kind of like, what some of my personal favorite reports I always share with kind of newcomers into crypto to start saying, okay, this is, it really does a good job of walking through, why crypto matters and why it's not just, number go up. And at the same time, it also, pinpoints which projects are building and kind of what the, drawbacks of each ones are, what the advantages of each approach are, because, there's so many different projects building in the space and they're all taking slightly different approaches.
Traditional banks are starting to come into the game a little bit and understand it and like actually invest into this world a little bit more. Can you give us a little bit of insights on the other sectors or the other businesses that have adopted this early, and then where you see? You're coming out with these reports. What other sectors are most prone to use implement crypto in their business plan day to day?
Yeah, so I think you probably have already heard about this over the past few months, but probably will hear more about it in the coming years. Decentralized finance, dubbed DeFi, is really kind of like has found product market fit. So to be clear, crypto definitely has its drawbacks right now as far as scalability goes. So I'm not gonna lie. Most people right now, what my team and I are, spending day to day and hour, every waking hour basically researching. Hopefully in the next decade, a decade from now, all of that is going to be abstracted away, right? It's like the internet. You didn't know, nowadays, mainstream people don't really understand exactly what an IP address is or TCP IP and all this HTML stuff is. They really just, go on and use the technology. Same thing's going to happen with crypto, but what you're seeing in DeFi is early adaptations of what's to come. And what's beautiful about crypto and how it really does improve what's going on in an industry like finance is, one, it's way more open, it's transparent, it's permissionless. So I can kind of dig deeper into each one of those, but there are a lot of different improvements that it kind of makes already.
I guess you got to sign up for the, you got to sign up on Delphi Digital, find out more, and that's the value, 100%. As the consulting work goes, anybody who's trying to look to maybe potentially buy some Bitcoin, any sort of crypto, or get into this space, Do you suggest any sort of platform maybe that you're affiliated with? Because I mean, I've used Coinbase, I've used Bittrex. Bittrex, I can't even trade anymore in New York State. They basically told me I got to get rid of my wallet in New York State. But also, Robinhood's adapting that now, so you could trade on Robinhood as well. But curious on your side, what do you guys do with consulting, or do you even are you agnostic?
Yeah, as far as, specifically on how to buy and allocate crypto, that's the best part about, how different the market is from where it was in 2017, right? Right now you have eToro, Robinhood, like you said, you have, Cash App, all these different platforms. Basically, you probably already have an app on your phone, whether you realize it or not, where you can already buy and trade cryptocurrencies. So getting allocated is pretty easy. As far as, where to allocate and how to think and understand this stuff, that's really what our firm does a really good job of. I think, we've been consulting a lot of, big family offices, a lot of big traditional hedge funds, and even, big asset managers on, things like, what is Bitcoin and what its future looks like, and, why it is important in the grand scheme of things, as well as just generally, sectors like decentralized finance, because obviously there is a lot of hype there. And we, one of our biggest jobs is really just like boiling through and cutting through all that hype.
I had to get a sip of water there. There's a lot to take in. It's exciting stuff. Collaborations and partnerships that you've worked with in the past. Obviously, you're working with these these bigger institutional type firms that understand this, understand where they can go. Can you give us an example of a potential partnership or collaboration that you've used, it's worked well, that's actually helped you build your business, and more of those that you see down the line?
Yeah, absolutely. We're definitely under some confidentiality agreements here, but I'll give you some examples, right? So the consulting kind of changes depending on which kind of client we're working with. So for example, if a BlackRock or Fidelity or a Union Square Ventures or Andreessen Horowitz wants to come in and understand a specific portion of the sector, whether it is something about how to integrate Bitcoin into their day-to-day, or how to actually get an allocation to a sector like DeFi, or just kind of like generally, a lot of our consulting, it's not even about, they want to get allocated immediately. They just don't want to fall behind, right? So we have a lot of big firms that are just basically want us to come in and give, workshops, like a day workshop where we do 3 or 4 hours going through not just Bitcoin, but the different sectors, the different tools that are currently being made, and kind of the different market participants, currently in the market. On the flip side, something that our team actually has even more fun with is, right now there's so many different protocols that are all tweaking kind of their token economics. And I don't want to get too in the weeds here, but that's really where a bulk of our consulting is done, where we'll work with the protocol or work with a established company that wants to integrate a token and leverage a token to kind of really throw fuel on the fire and really grow kind of their customer base or their audience in general.
When we're talking about the future of Delphi Digital, where are we looking for the future? I mean, I saw that you have this Delphi Ventures that you're creating, but what's the future of Delphi Digital that you see and the opportunities that people could potentially collaborate with you, potentially who are watching or listening on the podcast, whatever it may be? Where are some collaboration opportunities that you think?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it really did start with the research, right? And we are really a research-driven firm at like the very heart of it. And I think that's kind of been our edge since day one, because, to really work in this space, you really need to have a really good understanding of what's going on. And I think the biggest benefit our team has had is we don't look at things in a vacuum, right? So we've looked at every sector. We haven't ever, I'll take a step back. Like, the reason we started a research firm in the first place is we were looking at different protocols to join or, other funds to join. And back in 2017, a lot of the funds we talked to, those teams just didn't seem to really understand where the space, or even understand that they needed to do the work to figure out where the space was headed. They were just more so blindly invested at, cheap discounts and then getting liquidity 2 weeks later and selling at, 10x or whatever. And we just thought that wasn't going to be sustainable, which, we've seen it hasn't been. And on the flip side, we didn't want to join a protocol immediately because we felt it was so early in the space that we wanted to figure out, what exactly is going on here. So, my friends and I, we took a step back and said, hey, if we could, leave our job, start a research firm and basically get paid to just keep track and learn about this space, it almost feel like cheating. And that's kind of exactly what, ended up happening. And it's really, played a really big, part in our success, up this far. Going forward, right, our mission at Delphi, simply put, is just, our whole team, we've grown from, 4 co-founders to a team of 20 now. And, our team is very focused on one mission. And it's simply put that we think crypto is going to happen. It's going to play as big of, if not a bigger role than the internet has. And because of that, we just want to make it happen faster than it would without us, right? Even if that's about a year or 2 years, I think that the impact of that on kind of like the world in general has such a crazy compounding effect that you can't really even, talk about it in numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's kicking ass right now, right? I mean, it was down to 4,000 down in March, and now it's up to 32,000 up to today. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting things, especially when they start integrating with a lot of different businesses. Going to like the leadership side of it, right? You're the COO, co-founder of the business. What do you think your superpower is within the company? You obviously manage a lot of different people, but what is that superpower? And then, how can others kind of replicate that?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good question. I think mostly the best thing I can do in my day-to-day is just being as transparent and communicating with my team as possible, right? So if someone has a question or someone needs to understand what's going on or how I'm thinking about something, try and get back to them as soon as possible. So for example, being on this podcast right now, it's like an hour of non-transparency for my team, but I think they'll do just fine. But really, I think that's been a superpower. But essentially just understanding that, one of the biggest things that, it's not research or consulting our firm really sells. At the end of the day, our main product is trust, right? So making sure that the brand stays on top of everything, making sure we're taking the steps to, do right by both our clients, but also by the nature of the space itself. And yeah, so far it's been going pretty well.
Okay, just want to remind people who are watching, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat. We'll definitely get to them towards the end. But as we go through this, we had Mike Marr on. He's the CEO, co-founder of Entre Networking Group. In the networking aspect, you're a C-suite level guy. You're making big moves. How do you look at networking? Do you have any tips or tricks that you could share with the community for networking?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think I've given this advice to a lot of people over the past few years that I think the best thing you can do is just start writing, right? Really for me, I don't understand something till I have to sit down and write about it. I can read 10, 20 different articles and I'll think like, oh, okay, I understand it. But once you start having to write it down and start putting it in your own words and trying to simplify it down, that's when you really start questioning your own basic principles of something. So I think, no matter what industry you're trying to break into, or no matter what position you're trying to break into, start writing, start a Substack. Right now the tools available on the internet are just like so incredible, and they're all pretty much free, right? So you can start a Substack today, and even if your parents are your only subscriber, you can just write a newsletter like every week about a topic that you're interested in, and eventually you grow that email list. That's how you start networking as well. And then, the second, I think probably most powerful tool in the world is Twitter. I think right in Twitter, what you really have is no matter what industry, job, position, role, you'll have out of the top 50 people in that industry, you'll have at least half of them on Twitter sharing their opinions. And it's almost like, on Twitter, you can like sit in on different people's like coffee conversations or, it's basically like a conference that you curate for yourself, right? So, Twitter has been, a huge superpower for Delphi and me personally, but I think it can be used as a tool for basically anyone, no matter what, position they're kind of looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. There's also Clubhouse too. I'm not sure if you're on Clubhouse, but definitely want to get you on there because it's very similar to Twitter. Question I have here came in here from Nick. What impact do you think crypto will have on major financial institutions and our economy in the next 5 years?
Yeah, next 5 years is a good one. Long term is a little bit easier as far as like, oh man, they'll rewire kind of the whole financial system. But the next 5 years, I think what you're going to see is all of these banks are going to start plugging into crypto in different ways, right? They're just not going to have a choice because crypto is so much more open. It's so much more transparent that you don't really need a credit check or right now the traditional banking system, especially in a place like America, it really does benefit kind of like the top 10%. There's such a big portion of America that doesn't even have access to that, let alone the world. Crypto just completely, breaks through that. And I think because of that, you're going to have access to a lot of different people all around the world, all who want to do different things with their money and who want access to the same products that people have been getting access to for the past, couple decades, centuries. In that, very nature, I think banks just don't have a choice. They're going to have to start embracing crypto sooner rather than later. And I think you're probably going to start seeing that in the next 12, 24 months.
We got another question from Jeff Nixon at the Lorien Group. He was asking any suggested coins or tokens that you see, taking off in the next few months or so.
Yeah. I mean, full disclosure, right? We have a venture fund, so we're invested in a lot of things too. So I'm definitely biased. I hold a lot, but the easiest one I always tell people to hold is Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is the dollar cost average. What I mean by that is every week set like a recurring buy. I treat Bitcoin as my savings account basically, right? Especially with what's going on in the world right now, especially with Janet Yellen recently. What she was saying basically is they're just going to keep printing money. And what that means is the value of your dollar is just going to keep going down. So instead of keeping your dollars in a savings account, which, 10 years from now, the purchasing power of that dollar is going to be so much lower, put it in something like Bitcoin, which has that, fixed supply, 21 million. That's kind of like the easiest one. Ethereum right now has a lot going for it. Our team has questioned ETH's value accrual in the past, but right now it just has, the biggest developer mindshare, and, basically all of DeFi is built on it. There's also a lot of proposals being made to its token econs, which, and I don't want to go too in the weeds here, but, when you're looking at these tokens, and you're looking at something like a Ripple, which I think is the easiest one to say, do not invest in Ripple. I'll try and save kind of your audience that. There are tokens out there that have no point and no value accrual mechanisms, right? So they actually just exist to exist, and there's just like no need for it. Those tokens, I'd feel very unsafe telling any of my friends, let alone your audience, to store money in it. So Bitcoin and Ethereum are kind of like the easy kind of, blue chip ones. And then, as you go, deeper down the risk spectrum, you have big projects in DeFi like Synthetics, Wi-Fi. These are all very interesting products, and they're live. They've been live. They haven't been, they've never gone down, that you can use today, right? So, what I usually tell people is get some skin in the game with Bitcoin and Ethereum. And then what I would do is start Googling like Synthetics, Aave, Wi-Fi, and start playing around with some of these protocols. And, whichever ones you like, start allocating a little bit to that, maybe get some skin in the game in DeFi as well.
Yeah, dropping gems all over the place. I got to sign up for Delphi as soon as we get off this. I love that. And I love interested in the newsletter too, and all the writings. Curious, you were saying that you were writing and putting those thoughts on paper. Do you put them just in your newsletter, or do you have it on Medium? Just a little bit of strategy. Curious how you do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically anything that we ever write is always going to be on Delphi's portal. We always share it. Sometimes, it'll be picked up by, media outlets like, Bloomberg, CoinDesk, and things like that. But it's always going to be on the portal first. Sometimes I'll do tweet threads too. So usually when I write, there's a bunch of stuff that I've written that has just never seen the light of day, because by the end of it, I'm just like, this is not good enough or something like that. But if I ever publish something, it's going to be on the Delphi portal.
Beautiful. I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we got. We always leave off with words to live by, personal mantra or ethos that you could share with people maybe to get better, or whatever it is that you do your day to day.
Yeah, I think, my grandmother used to say this a lot, and it's always stuck with me, is just, there's no such thing, like there's no worse thing than wasted potential, right? So especially right now, given how many tools and resources we have in the world, last year, COVID, everyone was kind of like stuck at home. I really hope people kind of took it to themselves to like, do something with all that free time that they had, because, you're not commuting, you're probably not going to see friends or anything like that. So the internet is a crazy, wild place, but it's very useful if you know where to look. And yeah, I would say there's no worse thing than wasted potential.
Just like a Bronx Tale, man. That's what that's what they say in a Bronx Tale. This was great, super insightful. Definitely check out website. Where can people find you on social, website, other places?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website is just delphidigital.io, and my Twitter handle is @Anil Delphi.
All right, beautiful, man. I really appreciate your time. We'll get this up. We'll share this as much as possible. And if there's any way we could connect you with other business leaders, like-minded individuals, people who want to reach out, definitely comment, tag Anil on this, and then we'll make some deals together. And let's hope Bitcoin goes up to maybe 100,000 this year. I think we'll all be pretty happy. But that's it. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I appreciate the time, Charlie.